welcome back to our channel.
So today's video is going to be about a few of the books that have been on our TBR for the longest time. We do own the physical copies of some of these books, but some of them we don't, so we just wanted to go over a few of them.
So one of the books that has been on my TBR the longest has been Needful Things by Stephen King. It's about this small shop that sells collectibles and antiques, and everyone who walks into this shop is drawn to something that's very specific and personal to them. But the shop owner does charge more than just money. Everything comes at a price, and not everything is what it seems. That's all I really know about it, but it does sound very interesting to me. I've only read one other Stephen King novel, but it was a little bit slow for me, so I'm excited to read this one because I think it's going to be a little more fast-paced.
One of the first books I ever put on my TBR is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owen. This one was obviously extremely popular last year. It's a coming-of-age story about Kaya, and she's basically like the marsh girl. So when this guy turns up dead, everyone kind of suspects her to have been the killer. So this book is just her life story intertwined with a murder mystery. I do think, isn't it turning into a series? Or
is it? Oh, it is turning into a movie. I think it will be a great movie.
So I'm really excited to finally get to this book this year.
Another book I've had on my TBR for the longest is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This is actually one of my friend's favorite books of all time, so I've really wanted to read it. It's basically about a shepherd boy who wants to travel the world in order to find this extravagant treasure, and it's more about his actual journey and the people he meets along the way. So I'm very excited to read it. I know it's like one of, I don't know if it's a classic book, but it's like a very well-known popular book, so I can't wait to read it. I know it's going to be like a great experience and gonna have really great quotes, so it's just one I have to read this year.
So the next one that has been on my TBR for the longest time is Top Secret by Serena Bowen and Elle Kennedy. This book is basically an enemies to lovers. We have two boys that are in the same fraternity and they absolutely hate each other, but they end up talking to each other on like a social media kind of dating app thing, and they don't know that they're talking to one another. I have read Off Campus by Elle Kennedy, and I did love those, so hopefully I will love this one just as much.
So the next book that's been on my TBR for a long time is Mudman by Jessie Andrews. This is a really interesting concept. It's set in a world where how big you are is determined by how much money you have. So basically our main character is called a little poor, and he's the size of a rat, and the most wealthy people there are the size of like skyscrapers. So it's kind of like how society lives in a world where you are the size depending on how much money you have. So I am really excited to read it. Such an interesting concept. I've had this forever. I just haven't gotten around to reading it, so I really want to read it this year. This is the author that wrote Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, and we absolutely loved that movie adaptation, so I have high hopes for this one.
Okay, so my next one is Anxious People by Frederick Backman. This is basically just a bank robbery that has gone wrong, and the bank robber ends up taking 8 strangers and holding them hostage, and then he ends up just like disappearing. As time goes on, the hostages end up realizing that they have a lot more in common than what they thought. Secrets become revealed. I thought this was going to be a romance. It is not.
It kind of sounds like The Breakfast Club. So it's like the principal in detention, they're left alone and they all like tell each other secrets.
Yeah,
and get
maybe they'll all be like best friends in the end or something. So hopefully I get to this one this year.
So the last book I'm going to talk about today is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is a super famous novel. I'm sure you guys all have heard of it. This will be like my first classic novel, but it's about a man named Dorian Gray who gets his portrait painted by this really famous artist, and basically what happens is Dorian is then introduced into this kind of lavish lifestyle and realizes he wants to live it forever, so he kind of expresses wanting to sell his soul in order to be immortal. So rather than him age, the portrait of him will age. I've been really intimidated when it comes to classic novels because I feel like they're kind of harder to understand, but this one I just think has such a great concept, so I really do think I'm going to enjoy it, and I hope to get around to reading it this year because it has been on my TBR since the beginning of my reading journey.
So the last book I'm going to talk about today is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. This is about a girl who gets an opportunity to apartment sit at this mysterious building. This girl's literally paid $12,000 to apartment sit for 3 months, so I would be down for that too. She ends up finding this other girl who's apartment sitting, and she reminds her a lot of her sister that passed away like 8 years ago. and unexplainable things start happening around the building. So when the girl who reminds her of her sister goes missing, she begins to look for answers. I did want to get into more mysteries this year, so I do think this one sounds like a really great one. So that's going to be it for today's video. Comment down below and let us know some of the books that have been on your TBR for the longest time.
We do post new videos every Wednesday and Friday, so please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.
Bye!